We're set. Fantastic.
Good.
Me and my bald ass head. I shaved. I shaved my head yesterday too. Took.
Mm.
Ooh, man, you have no idea how good it feels to take a shower. Woo. Mm. That is. It's still hot here in Ohio too. That's the problem. It's still like super duper hot. It's still it's still real ass summertime right now. I thought we'd be getting close to the end by August, September. I was like, damn, we should be wrapping up. I got due July. I was like, damn, we should be almost done. I should be able to relax and not deal with hot ass weather. But no, it's still hot.
Mm. What's the temperature for you right now?
That's a great. What is it today? I think it's. I bet you it's. Well, where am I? Like 32°C.
Hmm.
It's a little warm.
Yeah, that's
little warm, right?
Little warm.
Yeah, it's a little warm. It's a little toasty. Yeah, right.
Um,
All right. So, my dude, I got some new things to talk about this week.
ah,
I started playing
cool.
Digimon Survive.
Ah. So, have you already given it a negative review for the visual novel aspects of it?
No, I actually dig the bit. I actually dig the. Well, okay. So yeah, that's a great point. Thank you for going there. I might not have. I was just going to talk about my experience so far, but since you brought that up, a lot of people who reviewed this game apparently were just completely taken aside by the fact it was a visual novel. Just absolutely.
Mm.
If you go in knowing it's a visual novel, that's a different case, right? Like I went in knowing it was a visual novel, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not nearly as like let down. Some of the YouTubers I follow who do like exclusively Switch content, because I enjoy the personalities more than I enjoy the content most days. You know how it is. You enjoy the creator more than you enjoy what they make sometimes. As insulting as that might sound. Like when I think about it, that does sound a little insulting, but you get what I mean. Yeah, one of them made a video about Digimon Survive, which made me.
That obviously tells me they haven't read the description of the game.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, that's
Because it's directly called a hybrid visual novel and tactical RPG. So
let me see if I could find what he named the video, because that's here it is. Digimon Survive is not what I expected, and don't get scammed. Just
scams, huh?
Yeah, just to make sure I emphasize the words "not," "don't," and "scammed" are all in capitals.
Well, of course.
Are all in capitals. They're all those three words in particular are all in capitals. In case you were mildly curious.
And I'm guessing it has that kind of thumbnail.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, it has that. It has that kind of. You know the thumbnail. You've seen that thumbnail before. You're familiar with it. I think you do. I think you would probably shitpost these kind of. I think you'd probably be a great YouTuber, CD, because you'd probably shitpost the fuck out of people with your thumbnails too.
You mean like that guide that Maximilian did for Sakurai?
Yeah. I love it. We're going to talk about that too today as well.
Too big.
We're talking about that today as well. That's also it's not officially on the list, but that's going to be on the list now. Thank you for reminding me. But yeah, so Digimon Survive. It is a visual novel. There's no two ways about that. If you're not in on visual novels, don't play it. Just don't.
Yeah. You won't survive it.
Right. Now, personally, I enjoyed Phoenix Wright, so a visual novel to me isn't that far of a stretch, right?
Yeah.
Like, Phoenix Wright is a point-and-click game that's also a visual novel, so at that point, I'm like, oh, cool. It's Phoenix Wright, but with voice acting. Fantastic. I'm down with that. I'm about the first 2 hours in. I just started it today. Like, I just started, I was sitting on my couch playing it today, and it's very interesting. I'm interested to see how they handle the Digimon aspect, because the game starts off with I think it's a flashback. I think the opening bit is in the past, and then it cuts to present time. So I'm interested to see where this is going, because it's slowly building, and I'm like, huh. Okay. All right. I want to see where this. I'm interested. I'm very interested to see where this is going. I'm not going to talk about it too much. I don't want to spoil it for nobody, in case you're actually interested in playing it. Yeah. I also picked up Soul Hackers 2.
Yes.
Haven't started it yet, but I did get it. I'm probably gonna start.
Haven't started 3 out of 10.
Yeah, 3 out of 10. God, man, I don't think I could ever do reviews. I don't think I could ever like commit myself. And I think in a lot of ways, if I was there, I think in a lot of ways, like my playthroughs when I do like games I've never played before, I think those are like the most genuine way of reviewing for me, anyways, right? Because by the end of the game, I either like it and I finished it, or I don't like it. And I hated myself the entire experience. That's like the most true, because it is the most true thing, right? Like you could watch, like there's this thing, right? Like no one wants to watch you suffer through a fucking video game, right? That's always been a thing. Like no one wants to see that shit. That's just not entertaining to watch, right? But there is a bit of like honesty.
I'd say it depends. It depends on kind of what kind of suffering.
Yeah.
Because if it's just like you don't enjoy it and it's just, yeah, that probably not. But if you suffer through it by, maybe it's a buggy game or whatever.
Yeah.
Essentially you put a bit of a spin on it or something like that, then yeah, I think that definitely has an audience.
Yeah.
And I mean, not as a Let's Play, but as reviews, there's obviously AVGN, which would count as suffering from the game.
Yeah, that too. But yeah, so I tend to think of myself in that kind of way, where it's like I've played games that by the time I got to like here's how you can tell if I enjoy it or if I just liked it. If I am enjoying it, I will do a lot more than just the game. You know what I mean? If I'm like
not just the main story, you're gonna look for all the side quests.
I'll commit more than the basic amount of time.
Yeah.
If I really like it, you're going to see that gameplay timer. Woo! There's gonna be some hours logged. And I feel like that's kind of like a great example is like Ni no Kuni for me. Ni no Kuni is a fantastic game, but by the time I got towards the end, I was kind of ready for the game to wrap up. You know what I mean? Like, by the time I got to that point, I was like, okay, I'm ready to. Let's get this wrapped up, please. Since the White Witch.
Yeah, but at that point, you had quite a few hours into it already.
Yeah. You know, I'm like, all right, the White Witch is finally here. It's time to go put this lady in her place and wrap this up. But here's the thing, though. That game was weird for me because the real ending didn't feel as satisfying as, like, the fake-out ending. After you beat Shadon, they're giving you this huge celebration, you're about to head back home. That felt more satisfying to me as an ending than, like... defeating the White Witch and him just going home and him just flying home. I don't know. I just didn't find that to be as satisfying as like a wrap up.
Yeah, you couldn't really do another celebration like that. Like a kind of okay. So when's the next one coming?
Yeah, I get why they did it. Like I get why because at that point you already had the big celebration ending. But at the same time, it just didn't hit as well for me. Because I kept on waiting for something to kind of cap it off. Some kind of like... But I guess that's the point, right? Because Oliver's character development was over when Shaddaa was defeated. His character arc was over. That was it. His story was tied up relatively neatly by the end of Shadda's plot arc. So by that point, there was nothing else for him really. You know what I mean? Like his... thing was done. The White Witch was a thing, but it wasn't really his. Him going after her, him taking care of her was more of the heroic thing than like a personal story to be told
Which
there.
kind of is also makes makes a bit of sense in him evolving essentially from that him being there for his personal reasons to him going out of his way to
Yeah, to him
do the
saying,
thing.
to him saying, I could go home right now,
Mhm.
but these people still need me. Fuck it, I'll stick around a little bit and I'll help figure this out. Yeah,
Mhm.
good point. Fair enough. You're right. I don't deny that. Good point. But yeah.
And I mean, at that point, he kind of he had that bit of a reveal there.
Yeah. Wow.
Mm.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
Nino Cooney hit me. Nino Cooney hit hard when it wanted to hit you hard. It did not hold back.
Mm.
I appreciate it though. I do. I appreciate it for such a whimsical style video game. Oof, man, some of the themes. I'm like, damn, this is for kids. You
Mm.
sure this is for kids? Who is this for again? Damn. But I guess that's the point, right? Because like I've watched a Studio Ghibli film, and
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
mean, have you not watched Princess Mononoke? Who is that for? Is that really for kids? Like,
That's the thing. You think, okay, this is an animated thing. This is drawn. This must be for kids, right?
yeah,
Mm. Nope.
not really. Not
You
really.
better take this shit seriously.
Yeah, it's like I watched Princess Mononoke like a year ago for like the very
Mhm.
like a few years ago for like the very first time. And holy shit. I walked
Mhm.
away from that movie like,
Yeah.
oh, there's a lot more for me to think about with this than oh, there is no good or bad guy in this movie. They're all just terrible
Mhm.
people to some degree. Fantastic.
Yeah.
I love it. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say the two words watership down.
Yeah. Thank you. All
For
right.
kids!
Yeah, for kids. Totally for kids. Absolutely for kids. So I don't know. I have a feeling you've been busy this week. I haven't seen you around nearly as much this week. But
I've
I've also been kind of
been
busy
going
myself.
around in Path of Exile.
Ah.
Been putting on quite a few hours in that. Once I chucked the character I started out with out and started with a lightning focused witch. This one just for shits and giggles, no guides, nothing, just try out whatever I find and just I just chose okay, yep, let's go with lightning and then set the character up there and currently in act 3. I think I'm just starting act 4 now and so far it's going pretty well.
Nice.
Yeah. And they did reduce the item drops and all, so you get less currently at least, which makes sense. It went a bit overboard over time, as they said, and now, but I still found a few unique items and definitely enough rare items, so it's going quite decently there.
Dope. Dope.
Mhm. Yeah, and the Mirror of Calandra mechanic with the aisles, it's yep, quite decent.
All right.
You find those tablets at each point at several points in the levels in the maps, and you set one of the fields. And at the start, so far it's been I think 5 or so fields that I could set, and each one I have to choose. Okay, this area is gonna be skeletons. This area is gonna be lightning-based enemies. This area is going to be additional shrines, for example. And once all the empty tiles are set, I can enter the area and then clear it out.
Huh.
And then I get for each cleared out area, I get additional item rewards, and yeah. And in one of them, actually, I had found a short appearance of Calandra. Don't know where that will lead or how much that will be there in later areas, but yeah, apparently there could be some additional stuff there.
Nice.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
I will speak on this a little bit about picking something up without like doing any like looking into it. So every time a new expansion comes out for 14, I play a different class, right? I keep the same character, I pick a new class, right? Just to try something new, just to like, you know what I mean? Spice things up a little bit. I find that's usually how I keep the game fresh for myself. Well, I took a big break and then I came back, but I'm like, I'm not playing the same classes I've been playing. So I picked up a whole new class, leveled it back up, got back into the story, and I'm like, damn, this is fun. Man, that's how I keep the game fresh. Just play something, just play a completely new class every time I take a break and come back. Screw it, just I'll finish every class at the rate I'm going, because every time I come back, it's like, what's that class like? Oh, that class looks mildly interesting. What's this one like?
And I guess they might have done additional changes to the class, or at least rebalanced them. And all that.
Yeah. Classes get changed. They'll get rebalanced. They'll get adjusted. Every patch cycle, something's always going on. But again, that really depends on like how deep you are into it, right? Because I know I have friends of mine who like every time a patch cycle comes out, they get pissed. Every
oh no,
time.
My main skill.
Every time a patch cycle comes out, these dudes are like hardcore pissed. I'm just like, guys, it's not that serious. Like guys, this is not that bad. Apparently, it is that bad.
I got nerfed.
Apparently, it's that bad. Maybe I'm just not into it enough to know any better. But that's just, I guess I'm a casual. But CD, what I am though, is a lover of Warcraft 3. As you may or may not know. Now, I did not watch this video. I did not watch this video. You posted this. I'm assuming you've watched it.
Yeah.
You're aware.
Yeah, most of it, yep.
Okay, cool. Enlighten me.
Problem is they had announced, it's that they're improving stuff. And apparently this big update wasn't it. They really didn't go as far with it as they said, and additionally, there apparently seem to be problems with the code for the stuff that's happening in the background. Like wins don't get counted for you, apparently.
Okay.
Or at least it happened quite a few times with people. That's apparently a bigger problem currently. And they had a look at, I think, one character profile that apparently had millions of wins. And just a few, I think 70 or something losses. So obviously it's not proven, but that kind of makes you think, are they counting the wins to one character? One profile?
Oh.
It's obviously speculation, but I mean, if it's that many wins there on that profile and other people's wins don't get counted for their profile, that makes you think.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, and apparently there seem to be a few other problems. I haven't really noted them down from this, but yeah, people don't seem to be happy.
I would say I'm surprised that Blizzard still can't get this. Like, here's the thing, this fucks me up because like Warcraft 3 was a great game. I don't understand how you have a great game as your base and you somehow still manage to fuck it up. I don't get it. I don't understand. Like, you have a fantastic base. Look, all they had to do was give Warcraft 3 and Frozen Throne a nice fresh new coat of paint, some new cutscenes, And that's it. That's all you had to do. You didn't have to do anything else other than that. You could have just kept the same movies. You could have kept all the same animations and cutscenes and shit. That could have all stayed there. They still look good. Up-res those a little bit and be done with it. But nah, y'all somehow had to like fuck this up. And a part of it, some of what they did I get, right? Because like Dota happened, right? And Dota was a fan-made game within Warcraft 3 originally, and became its own game, and that caused all kinds of problems for Blizzard, because it's like, well, it was made in our game. They made Dota from our game, and then made Dota their own thing, but shouldn't we we don't want people making something out of our game that we can't monitor.
I mean, sure, but if you do that, you go that route, then people aren't gonna do things like that in your game.
Yeah, no one's gonna create. No one's gonna want to do anything in your game, because at that point, what's the benefit? What's the point?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go out of my way to be creative on the off chance that like you're just gonna take my shit anyways, like, right? Like either I'm gonna make something creative and do something with it, or I'm gonna make something creative and then have you steal it. Yeah, fuck that.
No thanks.
Yeah, fuck that. Why would I do that? I don't work for free. Yeah, you ain't paying me. You barely pay game masters on World of Warcraft. So what makes you think I think you're gonna pay me? You barely pay your staff. You ain't paying nobody else. Come on now. Don't play dumb with me, Blizzard. I've been around this corner twice before. You're not messing with me, Blizzard. But yeah, I don't get it. I don't understand Blizzard on this one, man. They don't. This isn't hard. Like, I'm not a game developer, but
it shouldn't be this hard.
You have a great game. All you had to do was just build off of that great game and make the game better without fucking it up. And you fucked it up. I don't understand. Like, this isn't. We're not talking about like a new Madden game or something. Like. Like, nobody has high hopes.
Although those are bad enough. Yeah.
Yeah, nobody walks into the next year going, man, I hope Madden's great this year. Like, nobody's doing that. That's not... I mean, maybe there is somebody. I'm sure there's somebody.
I mean, obviously some people are gonna be, but many people are gonna be walking into it like, okay, let's see how much they kept from the last game. Is it gonna be 90%, 95%, 99%?
Yeah, let's see how much of the game doesn't change.
Let's compare all the animations.
Yeah, let's see what old advertising on the in the stadium is still kept from 2 years ago.
Let's see how many textures they missed with the old game name, with the old number.
So there was an interesting story that came up, people. I think you might be interested in this one. So there was a story that earlier this week that Sony was going to be raising its PlayStation 5 prices in Europe, Asia, I think I guess India's technically Asia, but Europe, UK, Japan, China, Australia, Mexico, and Canada.
Let's say just pretty much everywhere outside of the US.
Yeah, everywhere but where I live. Everyone but me. But I already have a PS5, so it doesn't bother me. So I'm not bothered by this. Oh, wow, that sounds really American of me, doesn't it? So
I'm not much bothered by it either, because before my motivation to get it was already low. Now it's even lower, so I'm saving money essentially.
Yeah, basically. So they're raising the prices, at least as far as the currencies I can understand, by around $50-ish.
Yep. $50
about $50 across the board. That's what it seems to be. Like I said, I don't know a lot of these currencies, but currencies I do recognize, it's about $50, which is,
and obviously the transfer prices can be a bit
wonky.
Different, but currently euro and dollar, for example, is I think around 1-to-1, close at least. So yeah, it's probably about $50. Yeah.
Okay, So they state that the global economic environment is a challenge that many of you around the world are no doubt experiencing. We're seeing high global inflation rates as well as adverse currency trends impacting consumers and creating pressure on many industries. Based on these challenging economic conditions, SIE has made the difficult decision to increase the recommended retail price of the PlayStation 5 in select markets.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
It's funny how those difficulties apparently don't count for the US.
yeah, I don't like. So I'm gonna be a real American for a second with you.
Uh-huh.
Gas prices are only just now coming down. We were reaching at about $5 a gallon in gas up until about 2 months ago. About 2 months ago, it started to slowly creep back down. Now it's at around like $3.30, I think, per gallon. So, I mean, understand, it ain't like it's been sun and like candy and roses here in America. Shit's just as pricey now. So, I'm not exactly seeing how America is any more not affected by these trends. I don't really see it. I don't see how we're not affected. And I don't necessarily think this is I don't think this is just a case of like, oh, these other regions can afford this and America can't. I don't really feel like that's a factor here. I could see it if you were saying like, well, these certain regions are financially more able to take the slightly more expensive hit on entertainment, so we'll hit them and we'll let the other regions slide to not fuck up what we already have. But to increase all these other regions except America, that's a little sus. That's a little suspect. That's a wee bit suspect. I'm gonna call shenanigans, at least some kind of shenanigans, and this caused some conversation because, you know, if Sony's doing this,
what could be next?
Yeah, who else is going to do this? Well, we got our answer. Microsoft decided to respond to this little note, and they responded with no plans to increase Xbox Series X or S. We are constantly evaluating our business to offer fans great gaming options. Our Xbox Series S suggested retail price remains at $299 in dollars, and the Xbox Series X remains at $499. It's worth noting. So yeah, they're not changing their price. Now, let's be honest. Let's be real for a second. Microsoft's approach to a lot of what they've done has been very different than Sony. So I think Microsoft is perhaps looking at this. I would imagine looking at this as we don't really have to because we're gonna make back. We'll more than make up for whatever hit we take on these consoles just in our Game Pass and the other things that we're currently offering our customers. We can take the slight hit globally and still manage.
Sony probably could do that too.
Probably.
How popular the console is.
Yeah. So this does kind of put Sony in a weird spot, right? Because whenever these sort of large sweeping things tend to happen, like price drops and price updates and stuff, we usually expect to see it at least across the two big ones, Sony and Microsoft, right? One does it, the other one does it. You know what I mean? That's usually how it goes. We all saw what happened last time when Microsoft said they're going all online, all DRM, and Sony didn't. We all saw how that went. We know there's some collusion here. If one does it, the other one's got to do it. Elsewise, y'all, they have to kind of fall in line there. But, yeah, so Microsoft's not doing it. And I'm going to put a small note here and probably say Nintendo ain't touching their fucking prices. They don't have to. I don't think
Yeah.
Nintendo is nearly that affected enough to even consider raising their prices. I don't think so.
Yeah, although given the popularity of their hardware, they could afford it.
They could do it, and I would
Yeah.
be remiss if I said that people would pay.
Definitely.
People would pay, so I don't think it wouldn't even really bother them in any
Yeah.
like noticeable measure.
That might be one of the reasons why Microsoft decides not to change the price, because they say, okay, we can take the hit, and we don't want our sales to slow down,
Yeah,
because they are definitely behind.
a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
little bit,
Yeah.
little bit. All
In
right.
overall sales, definitely in sales per month. I don't know how those are currently, but depends on how much Sony can produce. The difference is probably gonna be not as high as before, probably,
Ah,
because I think probably I think Xbox has less of a shipping issue currently. I think from what I've seen.
I have had a much easy.
Mm-hmm.
I have seen way more Xboxes in stores than I ever see PS5s,
Mm-hmm.
if I see them in stores at
Yeah.
all. So
Mm.
I think that by itself
Yeah.
speaks volumes that Microsoft doesn't really
Yeah.
have those same issues, or people just aren't buying them.
Yeah.
It's one of
That's might be a
it's
compounding factor there.
yeah it's like they're either not having a hard time getting them out, or people just aren't buying
Mm-hmm.
them in the same volume, so they're just going to be on
Yeah.
shelves.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Nintendo,
Hmm.
our favorite DRM company, our favorite guest on the show when it comes to protecting video games from those pesky hackers, those pesky pirates, those one-eyed bandits. Our
Yarr.
favorite, DENuvo, DENuvo Switch DRM will block legal emulation. DENuvo,
Mm.
so DENuvo was already planning on having of implementing their DRM for Switch games, more
Yep.
specifically to make them less likely to be pirated, or at least make the game
Mm-hmm.
carts less likely to be able to be dumped and
Well, they
used.
can't be dumped, but they have additional checks in there. So if you try to play them in an emulator, it's gonna check, and it might just
Yeah, it might just
refuse
crash
to run
out.
because of that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Um. So, DENuvo has also DENuvo. In a press release, it said the new DRM works to prevent piracy on Switch while blocking unauthorized emulators on PC. In that way, it apparently functions as both a Switch anti-piracy protocol and a preventative measure to stop people from emulating Switch games on PC. It works in a similar way to other solutions like the recent DENuvo DLC DRM software, inserting checks into the game's code to make sure it's not being played on an emulator, while also having quote unquote no impact on gaming performance. Yeah, I'll you might get me on the first half. You ain't catching me on the second one though.
Mm-hmm.
Gonna be honest. So yeah, like this is really. It's actually really surprising. I won't say surprising, but I don't usually
Mm-hmm.
think about them targeting emulators,
Mm-hmm.
especially for
True.
like games. But I guess the Switch. I mean, how popular is Switch emulation though? Is that really that big of a market? Is that a big market? You think
I don't know how big the market is, but
for
from what
people?
I've
Just
seen, it's pretty easy to do because people went from the Wii U to Switch pretty quickly in terms of emulators.
yeah. Well, the Wii U was a weird Power PC architecture, and I think the Switch
Mm-hmm.
is Nvidia. I know
Yep,
the
it's
graphics
a
chip
mobile.
is
It's a mobile.
Nvidia.
Chipset. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
mobile NVIDIA chipset.
So, I mean, it would be far easier to work with in
Mm-hmm.
general. Um, yeah, like it sucks, but it doesn't really surprise me that this is what they'd be going after. And I know Nintendo has gone after. I know Nintendo's like taken down videos of people like with the
Mm-hmm.
Steam Deck who showed off like Switch
Yeah.
emulation. They've gone after that.
Yeah.
Um, but I thought that was just more of a we don't want our games being shown being played on a console that isn't ours. I thought that was more of the case, but I
It's
mean,
probably a bit of both. Like they just don't want to be want their games shown being emulated in general like that. And I think and DENuvo are just supplying it in general. I'm not sure who's gonna use it. They haven't said that, and no one has yet said that they're gonna use this, I think. It's
yeah.
just
DeNuvo
DENuvo is trying to broaden their markets generally.
DeNuvo's is simply putting out the option, the tool
Yeah.
to do
Mm-hmm.
so. But
Yeah.
again,
Broadening their areas.
I just like if we're talking like PC games, then
Mm-hmm.
I mean, fine. But I don't know. I don't know what the market is on like console piracy. I can't imagine console piracy is a big enough hit to Nintendo that I don't know, man. I just feel like this is such a niche thing.
I mean, yeah, I think it's the general thing. It's we don't know how big the real impact is. Obviously, these people are gonna say it's higher. Others are gonna say it's lower. There are no real numbers for that.
Yeah. All I know
You
is
can't really create those.
yeah, like I know what I see on like on a
Mm-hmm.
local level and
Yeah.
I see plenty of people still buying the fucking Switch at my local shops. So,
Mm-hmm.
you
Sales
know,
numbers are still pretty high.
there was what was it? I had a barber a long time ago, back during a recession, like in 2012,
Mm-hmm.
2013, 2010,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, they say it's a recession, but like, look around you. He goes, I see people spending all kinds of money every fucking day of the week. People ain't holding on to their money. People ain't strapped out here.
Mm-hmm.
People still going out buying stupid shit every single day of the fucking week. What recession? It's like that. It's like you gonna tell me the Switch is getting hit by piracy and shit. I see people buying the Switch just as much. And now,
Yeah.
granted, I don't know what the jailbreaking scene is for Switch now that like the OG method of uh the physical method of actually being able to get in there and
Mm-hmm.
insert software is no longer a thing. I don't
Yeah.
know what that looks like these days, but
Yeah, good question. I don't know that either,
yeah.
but
So
they're probably working on that constantly,
yeah, that's a never
just like with any other console.
that's a never ending battle
Yeah.
of trying of never letting that go away.
Mm-hmm.
Oh goodness. Yeah, I guess I'll cover this one. So we talked about Genshin Impact last time, right?
Mm-hmm.
The
Yep.
ludicrous amount of money that Genshin Impact
The few pennies they make.
yeah, the ridiculous amount of money that Genshin Impact can bring in, and I will tell you, just not as someone who plays the game, but from as someone who has a friend who plays the game. Yeah, if that's the kind of thing you're into, man, ooh, it hits that part of your brain, that dopamine section of your brain, man. It'll do it for you if that's what you're into. So apparently the Genshin Impact anti-cheat has a vulnerability that has been discovered. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
as I'm sure most of you know, anti-cheat isn't the most popular thing in the world.
Yeah.
Not the most popular thing. We've talked about how anti-cheat sort of messed with stuff like VR chat, or at least a form of anti-cheat messed
Yep.
with VR chat. And
Mm-hmm.
that didn't go over especially well. That went over.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't go over especially well.
Yeah, and in general, when people talk anti-cheat, it's they also bring up concerns of security of your own system because the anti-cheat has to dig into your system quite deep.
Yeah.
You have to install a kernel level driver, so it's essentially just right at the core of your Windows, essentially.
Yeah.
And if that driver has a problem, your whole system has a problem.
Yeah. Kernel level drivers are as low level as you're gonna get. You're not gonna get too much. You can't get any lower than that. At that point,
Mm-hmm.
if
It's essentially right at the core of the system.
yeah, and if there's a way to exploit that to get into people's systems at the lowest possible level, yikes.
Yep.
So it
Which
looks
is what has been found out with this.
it looks like users are already had issues with this idea of this kind of level of anti-cheat, but it looks like they've been vindicated. The anti-cheat driver that runs on the kernel level has been used by ransomware actors to gain root access to a machine and kill antivirus protection. The file, which is named something prot.sys, was
MHY prot, which the MHY is probably just short for MiHoYo.
Yeah, was present on the machine even though Genshin Impact was not installed. Trend Micro researchers say they observed ransomware actors attempting to use this file vulnerabilities to spread malware beyond a single device. The file can apparently be integrated into any malware and remains on your PC even after you've uninstalled Genshin Impact.
Mm-hmm.
Woof.
Yep.
Woof. And that just kind of tells you can't really trust uninstallers, man. Just because it says it's removed from your system doesn't mean it's all removed from your system. You really don't know. You really can never be sure if it's all gone.
The game is gone, but whatever else might retain.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, you have no idea what else is still sitting on your system. And towards the end of this article states, there really isn't much the end user can do about this.
Yep.
It's impossible to erase the file once distributed, meaning you can't access the file on your system and delete the anti-cheat driver, even if the game is not installed anymore. The Genshin Impact's anti-cheat driver doesn't run after you close the game, but that doesn't appear to matter in terms of ransomware attackers accessing the file, which is a little fucked up. That's a little fucked up.
File just has to be present, and yeah, can be used then.
I don't understand what the utility of having a file like this that the game so when you Genshin Impact is the game that inserts this file into your system, correct? Or is this file
Genshin
is not
Impact uses it.
Is this file already there? Or is this like a file that's already present on your system and then you just happen to install Genshin Impact, or is this a file that Genshin Impact places?
It's a file that Genshin Impact installs.
Okay.
So you install the game, and it additionally installs the anti-cheat driver, and that file is a part of it.
So my next question.
Technically, if you fall for some phishing email or something, and it makes you install something, that could also have this file if you integrate it into the malware. So then you could also get it on your system.
Okay. Because my thing is, like, let's put ourselves in an imaginary land for a moment, and pretend that Genshin Impact is the only way you could obtain this file. Right, we'll put ourselves in imaginary land for a second. So the only way you get this file is through Genshin Impact. What's the utility of them making this file undeletable even after the game is removed?
Well, it's undeletable because it's a kernel level driver. So it's installed as a driver and on the system level. So as a user, you can't delete it because it's installed into the system, into the core, essentially.
I wonder, what if you like went into like God mode, like God mode on Windows? Do you think you could get rid of it then? I mean, I know it's probably not a bright idea to do that. I'm just asking, like, if you went straight up.
Not if you say delete as admin or something like that. I don't think you could, because it's essentially still marked as in use. Would be my guess. You'd probably need some kind of uninstaller for the driver.
Boot into
You'd
like...
have to have a way to uninstall the driver, and then you could delete the file.
Boot into like prompt? Like command,
Depends.
Like boot into command
it depends.
prompt?
If there are ways to uninstall the driver through there, then potentially. I don't know if there is. So I haven't really
ever tried. Ever really tried.
Yeah, I haven't really had the need to do something like that yet.
I'm just theory crafting about how I would attempt to get rid of it, but I'd probably take a pretty fucked up brute force method, and I'd probably end up tanking my system trying it. But I would at least try. I would try. I don't think it would work, but I would try. And I don't necessarily know what the impact would be if I did it, though.
In theory, something like a driver cleaner or something might be able to, but I'm not sure if that works for kernel level drivers.
Yeah,
not quite sure on that.
Yeah, that's another problem.
It might need a custom tool for that.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Why would you? On one hand, okay, so let me ask you this: like, what's the utility of having a kernel? What's the utility of making an anti-cheat kernel level? What do you think is the utility there in this? Like...
Simple. You're as close to the system as you can be to prevent cheat software, because they nowadays also use kernel level stuff.
Oh,
they're also at that level, so you
really?
have to be at that level. Yep.
Huh.
Cheat software does go there.
I did not know
because it's the easiest way to remain undetected by regular software.
Right. If you want to get
if you're in the core of the system, it's trickier to detect, and so they had to essentially level the playing field there. It sucks, but
if the software,
I can see why they do it.
If the software is sitting at level 1, you can't be sitting at level 1 as well, because the software is probably going to see you. You got to be deep. You got to be underneath it. You got to go underground. You got to hit them where they're not going to see it. Fair enough. Fair enough. That's damn. I never would have thought about that. Damn.
Yeah, because if it's at the cheat software is at that level, it could essentially turn off your anti-cheat. It could essentially just modify the anti-cheat and say, okay, the anti-cheat software just tells the other system, yeah, everything's fine here, all clean, nothing here.
Wow.
So it would be essentially like that Frank Drebin gif, move along.
Yeah, nothing.
While the system actually is burning.
Nothing to see here, citizen.
I
mean, I feel like there's got to be somebody. I'm sure there's going to be somebody who's just going to come up with their own way, to fix this. But at the same time, I probably wouldn't want like some random person coming up with some kind of utility to like deal with a kernel level
really fixing it. Yeah. Problem is really fixing this. That needs to be done by those people that made the anti-cheat.
Yeah, I don't really...
They have to fix the vulnerability, and you have to be able to install the new version from them, or it's automatically distributed by Genshin Impact. And that's going to be the main thing to fix this. Otherwise, you'll have to just, make sure that your antivirus and anti-malware stuff is up to date. And be careful in general. I mean, obviously, in terms of ransomware, you'd have to just be careful not to fall for any phishing mails and all that.
I'm always ridiculously surprised at just how many people fall for those, though.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not like the smartest guy in the room, but like even I'm sometimes.
Some things are really obvious and still people fall for it.
Yeah, it's always just one of those things where I'm just like, people fall for this. Like, we're not, like, I'm not even talking about like the Nigerian prince wants to give you a few $1 million. Like, we're not even going there. Like, I could go there, but we're not.
Yeah.
We're not even going there. You know what I mean? Like, we're not even touching that. I'm just saying, I'm surprised when you like look up like statistically how many people fall for like social engineering and like you know, phishing and all that stuff. Just like how many people fall for on like a regular basis. I'm just like, fuck. And it's
hello, this is Carl from Microsoft support. We've been told you have a critical error on your Windows, and we're here to help you.
Yeah, I bet. I fucking bet.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, totally. It always boggles my fucking mind. And like, you know, it's easy for someone to be like, oh, it's just old people. It really isn't just old people that fall for it. It really isn't. Statistically,
Sadly, no.
It's not just old people as much as it's funny to be like, oh, those silly old people falling for those phishing schemes. Like, it's not that simple. I wish it was that simple, but it's not.
I mean, it's obviously gonna be quite a few there, but still,
it's not
definitely not an exclusive problem there.
Yep. No, not at all. It still boggles my mind, honestly. Straight up boggles my mind that this is something that goes on the way it does. You know what, CD? I'm at 51 minutes. I think we have plenty of time. I can talk about this. So, Sakurai, legendary Smash Brothers head, the man who has introduced every DLC character in Smash Brothers to us and did an entire retrospective about like Terry Bogard in the Neo Geo, this legendary arcade fiend. Nothing but love for this man. Has a YouTube channel. And I kind of love it. He's just out there giving out wisdom about video games and about his experiences in the industry, and it's kind of great. Nice. And one of the things I like about it is like I have to commend the honesty where he's like, I don't have ads on these videos, and I pay people to like create these, to like do the editing and stuff. So like every one of these that I make, I'm losing money. I'm losing money. Every one of these I make, I'm losing money. I'm like, damn, he really just said that too. He was just like, he's like, every one of these I make, I am losing money. But you know what? I'm having fun, so here we are. Here we are. I'm just gonna keep losing money. I appreciate the stunning honesty of Mr. Sakurai. Also, it's also just nice to see him not being tied down to the Smash Brothers franchise. I'm pretty sure he probably appreciates that. It was also really interesting.
Yeah, it might be.
It was also really interesting. Like, Nintendo gave him full permission to like use certain things from Nintendo for his channel.
That's cool.
Like they were just like, yeah, sure, why not? Do it. Go on.
Which I mean, he's done more than enough for the company.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure even they were like, pretty sure they were like, hey man, what do you need? He goes, I want to make a YouTube channel. Could I use some stuff from Nintendo about it, please? Like Kirby? Can I?
Sure, here's the key for the vault.
Yeah, can I use like Kirby? And they're like, yeah, you made him. yeah, he's yours. You made him. He's your child. Take him. Take him. He's your kid. We're not doing it. We already got what we need out of him. He's yours. Take her.
Here's the key to the vault. Next, you see him carrying 50 Kirby's out there.
Yeah. Like it really is really cool to see him doing this. And it's also really cool to see him just apparently just having a great time doing something creative. So, more power to you, Sakurai. More power fucking to you. You deserve it. As much work and effort as much legwork as you had to put in on Smash Brothers, I don't fucking blame you. I don't envy him. I really don't. I don't envy him at all. Like, I'm sure that looks great on like a resume or something for him to be like, oh yes, I did this, and then points to Ultimate.
It's like he has 3 pages, the start of the resume, and then another 10 pages. Here, this is all Smash Brothers.
I think it'd be like 2 sections. It'd be like Kirby, his child. He'd be like, well, first off, my son Kirby. And then I did this thing called Smash Brothers, and that's other like 25
this
pages.
small little thing there.
Yeah, this little indie project I took on. It was a project where I just took a bunch of random characters from a bunch of Nintendo properties and threw them all into a game and had them beat each other up. I didn't think Nintendo was going to go for it, but then Nintendo was like, yo, that's amazing! And then I made like 4 of these fucking things.
I thought this would be a project for a few weeks, and here we are 10 years later.
It's like every time I
Something like that.
Every time I made one, I'm like, this is the last one. Nintendo just kept coming back to me with a bigger bag of money, and I'm like, okay, I guess.
That's when I finally had enough and called it Ultimate and said no more.
I called it Ultimate, and then I've essentially put them in a situation where they're never going to be able to ask me to make another one again because we're never going to be able to do this again.
So they kept asking me for DLC.
Yeah, they're like, well, if this is your last Smash Brothers, could you do some DLC?
Can you put this one in? And this one? And this one? And this one? And these?
Yeah, and every... But then they let me have Terry Bogard. And then SNK was like, hey, you could put in... And then I went to SNK for music. And then Nintendo had to stop me because I was going to put in all of the SNK music in this game. And apparently there's file space limitations, so...
Yeah, apparently there's the micro SD card on the Switch can only take in so much space, so...
It's like, I didn't want... Like,
what do you do?
It's like, I only wanted like 125 songs from the SNK library. I don't think I was asking for that much.
I don't know what the problem was. I only went in with 5 wheelbarrows of songs.
Yeah, I only wanted a handful of songs, but they told me I could only do a couple. Like, you know what? And that's the thing, though, right? Like, Smash Brothers Ultimate, as much as like Optimus hate it when I bring this up about it, Smash Brothers Ultimate is one of those flash in the pan, lightning in a bottle, 1 in a billion opportunities. But like the amount, like especially for like Japan, the amount of collaboration and the amount of handshaking and deals and contracts and all this stuff that had to be penned in order to make something like this happen, to work with companies like Konami, Bandai Namco, which probably wouldn't have been that hard to do anyways. No,
I mean, Bandai already did the game.
Yeah, so getting Pac-Man probably was easy, or
at least the previous one, I'm not sure.
Like having to pin a deal with both Disney and Square Enix. I don't think Square Enix would have been as bad, but having to pin a deal with Disney to get Sora in there, because I'm pretty sure
apparently Disney didn't have a problem with that, from what I've heard.
Really?
Yeah.
Disney wasn't the problem.
Apparently.
That is.
They had no problem with that, if I remember it correctly.
That is incredibly surprising,
because I mean, it's not one of their characters, so makes sense in that regard. If they would have wanted to put in Donald or Goofy or something,
might have been a problem.
Might have been a problem.
But I guess that's I don't know. I've always associated
Probably.
Kingdom Hearts directly with Disney, but I guess that's because there's Disney characters. But I guess if it's just Sora and Sora is purely a Square Enix character, then that tie to Disney becomes a bit tenuous at best. You know what I mean? It just
Mm-hmm.
becomes more of a, hey Square, can we use your character? And I was honestly surprised they got Cloud back, not because not for any like mostly like a lot of it was because I didn't think Square would necessarily want Cloud in anything else but like the remake. Because
Mm-hmm.
you have a character like that, you kind of want to limit where he is because you don't want to draw attention from things that you're doing. You know what I mean? Like you have that character, you kind of want to make sure he's in very curated things. So I was
Mm-hmm.
mildly surprised he came back, but
Yeah.
you know. But I mean, hey man, Konami gave.
Apparently,
Oh, sorry.
from what I'm reading, there was an interview with Game Informer, and apparently, the major reason why it took so long was Nomura.
No. Uh. uh. I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a hun. I'm honestly that makes way more sense. That makes way more sense. Oh
Mm-hmm.
man, yeah, okay, yeah, I believe that 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
Mm-hmm.
fair enough.
Yep. Disney was apparently, go ahead, this is a great opportunity. And then Nomura, well, he was a bit pickier there.
I wonder what he was picky about. I kind of wonder what he would have been. It had to be. It must have been something. It
Or,
must have been like certain things about what you can have Sora do and can't do, like what he's allowed to do and what he can't do, right?
that's can be, yeah. But I
It's it's the same. It's the same reason why like Sega. It's the same reason why like Sega won't let like Kiryu be in a Tekken game
mm-hmm.
because Kiryu wouldn't beat up a woman. And
Mm, the quote is, I thought it would be tough to pull off because it might clash with the established lore in Kingdom Hearts and the Disney worlds. Huh. Okay.
I mean, fair. I get. I mean,
Hmm.
fair in so much as I get maybe where he's coming from if he cares that much about it. Like
Mm-hmm.
that kind of fair, you know what I mean? Not really, but okay, that is an answer you could give.
Yeah.
I don't get it, but
But it's certainly interesting that Disney would be the less the
I mean,
smaller obstacle,
I
let's
mean
say.
they're right though. They're right.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
Smash Brothers is huge.
Yep.
To have any kind of association with it is giant.
Mm-hmm.
You wonder why Konami still let them use, Solid Snake in the game. I mean, why
Mm-hmm.
not? And they
Yeah.
got David Hayter back, which I thought was even better. That was actually
mm.
the thing I was surprised about because I was really surprised considering what Konami had did to like Hayter and
Mm-hmm.
not using him for Phantom Pain. I was
Five.
surprised that they didn't have like an
Mm-hmm.
objection about who voices Snake because you could have easily have made that a stipulation of the contract.
Potentially.
You could have. I mean, it wouldn't be that unusual. They could have been like,
Yeah.
okay, you can use them, but we decide who voices them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Potentially. Yeah.
I was mildly surprised that was even a thing.
Mm-hmm.
That I was even more
Although,
surprised
from
that
what I remember, if I remember it correctly, there's a story slash character reason that it's a different voice actor.
yeah,
With
because
because
5
it's not the same character.
5 is Big Boss, not
Mm-hmm.
Solid Snake. So
Yeah. So
there's a reason.
yeah.
Yeah, you're right. There is an actual in universe reason why he would be voiced differently,
Mm-hmm.
but reasons. Still, I still I had to pat Sakurai on the back for his tremendous
Definitely.
work. I don't
Yes.
did refresh my memory, CD. Did we ever even mention Saints Row last week? Was that a thing last week?
I
That was
don't
after. That was
think
after the
so.
show, right? Let me double.
What specifically about Saints Row?
Oh, just about it in general, like just the overall sentiment towards it. Yeah, that was too. That was on Monday, so that was after the show. I could talk about it, and I'm not rehashing old shit.
Yep.
Thank God. Fantastic.
Yeah, right. Because the reviews only got out on Monday after we recorded. Yep.
So Saints Row.
Oh boy.
So the Saints Row reboot dropped, and we got like 10 minutes left, so I could talk about this and not
That's fine.
fear the show going too far over. The Saints Row reboot dropped. At least the reviews dropped.
Yeah.
And you guys remember when we talked about review scores and about things that we take a look at whenever we see a list of review scores? Whew. You know, people thought like Soul Hackers 2 was a bit polarizing. Ooh,
I mean, this is less polarizing. Even Soul Hackers, was that all that polarizing?
I think the lowest end was at like a 5 out of 10. Like
yeah,
6.
but it was just really one really negative review in that one, and the others were clumped around 6 and above.
Yeah, 6 and above. This one is a bit more interesting though. So Game Informer, aka GameStop, following their age-old rule that I was taught when I worked at GameStop, when all else fails, err on the side of positivity. With their glowing review at 8.5, press start in PC games at 7, IGN, Inverse, GameSpot, and Well Played coming in at like 6 and 5, VG24, Hardcore and Kind of Funny. VG and Hardcore coming in at 3, and Kind of Funny, VGC, and EGM coming in at 2 out of 5.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
Metacritic.
the Metacritic is around 60 to 70, depending on which version. Somewhere in between.
And I'm
the
gonna
PC version has a 68. The PlayStation 4 one has hardly any reviews. The PlayStation 5 one is a 63.
Be honest with you. I wouldn't have taken these. Be honest with you, it wasn't until I watched Skill Up's review that I was like,
oh yeah, that one was.
I'm like,
boy.
oh shit. Look, Skill Up doesn't oftentimes just go in on a game like this. I'm like, oh, okay. Oh wow, we starting with this? Okay, fair enough. I'm gonna just read a bit from his tweet. Outdated in every aspect, from its open world design to its core gameplay, riddled with game-breaking bugs, absent of any sort of coherent plot, and starring an insufferable cast of characters. The Saints Row reboot is a disaster. Damn.
Yeah, I certainly agree with the insufferable crew part. Because oh boy, I've seen a few cutscenes and ugh.
Dude, what did I tell you? I mentioned this when we first saw some of the key art like a year ago about this game. I said this shit looks like a TV show off the CW. I said it. I know I said it.
After seeing those clips, I'm not sure that might even be an insult for the CW.
Ooh. Ooh.
'Cause, oh boy.
Ooh. Okay. But let me ask you this, CD. If this was a show, do you think it would get more seasons than Resident Evil did on Netflix? Resident Evil got 1 season, and they canned it after 1 season. Do you think this would even get more in a season? Do you think this would just...
In the Netflix, I haven't seen the show. I've seen a few of the quotes, and those are really bad.
It's so bad.
It's
so bad.
It might stand a chance to get a 2nd season, but not a high chance, and definitely not more than 2 seasons.
Damn.
But from the quotes that I've seen from the Resident Evil one, ugh, yeah, that's even worse.
Man, the thing is, I feel like this is another one of those cases where they're like, oh, we're gonna bring Saints Row. This feels like a
To
worse
modern audiences.
this feels like a worse take than when NetherRealm said we've grown up since the older Mortal Kombat games. We've matured, and then it's like,
Sure.
it's like, bro, what?
Totally did. And no.
What? You've matured? This is how you showed you've matured. I mean, if you say so, I don't believe you, but you know, fair enough. Who the fuck am I to question you, right? I'm just a dude. I don't know. I don't know, man. I'm honestly surprised. I'm surprised, but I'm also not at like how poorly this turned out. But this seems to be a common thread, though. Like, oh, we're gonna take something that works and we're gonna modernize it, completely forget the point of it, to some degree.
Yeah.
And then end up with a lackluster game. Like, guys, I hate to say it, but you're all trying too hard. Saints Row was never this serious. Like,
Certainly wasn't.
Saints Row wasn't a serious concept. You didn't have to try to make this modern, and I don't know where you thought making these characters seem like something I watch, seem like something I'd watch on an MTV sitcom would be a good idea. I don't get it. I don't know who you appealing to, because something like this is only going to appeal to a certain kind of audience, and I don't necessarily think that audience would be the ones going out buying the fucking game anyways.
Yeah, probably not.
Just saying.
We're gonna have to wait and see how well this fares in terms of sales. In terms of user scores on Metacritic, it's not doing well. PS5 one is on a 3.0.
Ah, fantastic. Fan.
PC one has significantly less ratings. It's at a 2.7. And the Xbox One has a 1.7, but that's only 45 ratings.
How much are they really selling this to me right now? I'm sorry, I found I went to Nibel's Twitter, and he has a tweet there about like this special edition for The Last of Us remake. About a special edition for it. And I'm like, guys, y'all still got me fucked up charging me $70 for a game that really doesn't need you to do this. I don't. Naughty Dog, you got. God, man. Like,
it's almost like they said, okay, hey, Bethesda seem to have the right idea. They're doing Skyrim all the time. Let's do that with Last of Us.
And you can't even really like be mad at them for that take, though. Cause like people keep buying it. Like,
yeah, but it's also usually not a $70 game there. But it's also usually just a version for that platform. In this case, you already had a perfectly suitable way to play it on that platform.
Yeah, I still have my copy for PS4.
Get the PS4 version.
Yeah.
There. And that one looks perfectly fine.
And you could have just put out a patch or something to, I don't know, clean up a few details. You didn't have to go and make a brand new game. Oh, brand new game. My bad. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I'm like every time I see something about this fucking game, I'm just like, it's like you spent all your time asking if you could, wondering if you could, but you never stopped to really consider whether or not you should. And here we are.
Yeah.
Here we are, sir. This is exactly what we deserve. We put ourselves in this situation now. Fantastic. Congratulations, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. The one significant improvement I can say would be the accessibility stuff, but I wonder if they really couldn't have done those some way without completely remaking it.
Yeah, they could have. It could have been a patch. There is no way on God's green earth you're gonna sit here and tell me that this can only be done with the power of the PS5. Your accessibility options are only doable with the PS5.
I mean, certainly not that. Certainly not that. But I mean, in terms of modifying the existing game or completely scratching that and making it a new engine or whatever, I'm not quite sure how they're doing that. Because depending on how they do the accessibility, they might have done something in the old engine that prevents it, but it's difficult to judge. But it kind of is the question of, you could have done this another way, probably.
Yeah, this honestly, this doesn't come off like a remake. This comes off as we don't have anything else to do, so we're just gonna remake this game and make a quick buck.
Yeah.
And I mean, not to say that there aren't people working on this and putting a lot of hard effort in. I believe that entirely. I'm not taking it away from them, but I don't think. I think
it obviously looks like there's effort in it.
Yeah,
Certainly the modelers and the textures and everything. Yeah, obviously there's effort, but it just seems unnecessary.
Yeah, I do wonder though if we'll ever see like this or the other one come out to PC. Just out of curiosity, just like curiosity's sake, I kind of wonder. Or
I mean, we might.
Or is this just one of those franchises that's just going to be stuck on the console?
I wouldn't be sure. I wouldn't be sure if it stays, because I mean they did the Uncharted collection relatively recently.
Yeah, fair enough.
Obviously, that's just the newer. Wasn't really a big collection because it was only, I think, the last Uncharted plus the DLC, from what I remember.
Oh.
So there are still several Uncharted games that aren't on PC. But with the way they're doing that, I'd say Last of Us is gonna be there at some point as well.
So before I wrap up the show, CD, I'm gonna ask you a question. Did you see anything at Gamescom that piqued your interest, made you go, "Damn, I kind of want to play that"? Did anything catch your attention? I know you have a very particular palate when it comes to the AAA releases, CD. You're the kind of guy who would go to a fancy restaurant and you would have a very particular thing on that menu. You would probably skip most of the menu and be like, "I want that, please." But sir, we also have this. No, that.
I mean, there hasn't been that many new things announced.
I didn't
piqued my interest, at least on opening night, which has been the most things. I haven't really paid attention over the week after that, though I did see that they showed more of Lies of P, which looked interesting.
Yeah, I've been seeing stuff about that all over social media.
Yeah, and there's been some additional gameplay for that after opening night, which definitely looked well done. Obviously, very the comparisons to Bloodborne seem very warranted there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because animations, there are some sounds that you can notice, and obviously some of the weapons, but there's also new stuff there. So apparently you can combine weapons, for example. And I don't think you could do that in Bloodborne. And certainly there's gonna be the mechanic of the telling truth or lies is gonna play a part in it, but we don't know yet how. Might be gameplay or might be story. We're gonna have to wait and see about that. But they did show the options that you get in the dialogue that you can answer in 2 different ways. So that's gonna...
Time will tell.
Yeah, certainly.
All right.
That's in general. Obviously, I'm gonna be looking at some of the games when they come out. Potentially Sonic Frontiers. Gonna have to see how well that works in open world. The Park Beyond I was already interested in that when they first announced it. And there was one, what was it called? Atlas Fallen or Fallen Atlas or something like that, which looked interesting when they announced it. Yeah, Atlas Fallen, which essentially seemed like an action RPG in a deserty area, which and also featured interesting combat, and you could also move by sort of sand gliding, which could be interesting. It's by the Surge developers, so we've already had 2 good games by them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Both the Surge games, especially the second one from what I've heard. And this one is certainly going to be a bit different, not as Souls-like, but more action RPG. Gonna be interesting. And let me think, there was another one.
Euden Chronicles. Euden, what's it? The Suikoden successor.
Oh, Euden Chronicles. Yeah, that got another trailer too. Yeah, that looked good. That still looks good. Gonna be looking forward to that. But
honestly,
I've already backed that on Kickstarter when they announced it, so I'm keeping eyes on that anyway.
Fair enough.
And Forspoken did get another trailer this week with around 10 minutes of gameplay, which gameplay-wise it looks nice. I don't know about the story and that, but gameplay, the fighting, and the traversing in the world, that looks nice. So gonna have to wait and see. Not gonna get that one on full price, certainly.
Yeah, no.
Not gonna get an $80 game at launch. Nope.
$80?
Yeah, for us it's 80. I'm not sure if that's the American price.
My dude.
At least, yeah. At least on
never thought
purchase price is 80 for us.
I never thought.
And then there's the digital deluxe version, which costs 105.
Never thought I'd see the day when buying games on Switch would be cheaper.
Yeah.
Didn't count on that situation to occur. If I had assumed that, maybe I would have. But no, here we are. All right. Anything else, CD?
No, I think that was pretty much it. Gamescom is never really that big event in terms of new announcements. There's gonna be TGS and obviously the Game Awards end of the year. That's gonna be the really big one.
TGS is Christmas for me. TGS, give me something about the next Dragon Quest. Give me something. It doesn't even have to be a lot. Just give me something.
Yeah, some key art maybe. Yeah, something like that. That would be nice. True.
Key art, as in like
we've only seen the logo essentially, and seeing something about the characters might be nice.
Give me a picture of the character's shoe.
Maybe something more about that HD2D remake of Dragon Quest 3, I think it was.
Yeah, they've been hella silent.
Yep,
about that.
Completely.
Yeah,
that's been the announcement, and since then nothing.
Yeah, we've seen nothing about it. Watch, it's gonna be a drop. They're gonna shadow drop it. They're just gonna be like, "Oh, it's out now. Enjoy, have fun."
I mean, now that Live Alive is out, maybe.
Well, everybody, I hope you've enjoyed this week's episode of the Caffeinated Banter. As always, you can find us on our many platforms that we are available on, ranging from Apple, Spotify, and even Google. We also have a YouTube channel where you can see our lovely faces laugh at some of these ridiculous stories every single week on Sunday, because if it's not uploaded on Sunday, there's a shoe I have to eat, and I don't want to eat the shoe. Not letting that one go. I do not want to eat the show. As always, I hope you all have a fantastic week and get your game on. There's all kinds of juicy game releases around the corner. We're getting to that part of the season, ladies and gentlemen, the holiday season when game launches are going to become plentiful, and I'm going to have more than my fair share of games I'm going to be able to try to play through or replay. Or
certainly
play while on a trip. I'm looking at you, Nier Automata. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for coming to Switch. I really needed an excuse to play you again. I really needed that. I really needed that motivating factor to play you again. In any case, everybody, I hope you all have a fantastic week. And until then, we'll see you all next time.
Yeah.
All right. Fantastic. Another one bites the dust, sir. Another one bites